I film my Game of Thrones reviews, which I have ready and aiming to go. But I wanted to do this video first because I got 2 comments on my profile saying that I had become very serious and, you know, sometimes my critique were getting too involved and I had forgotten how to have fun. I don't take offense to these comments. I think it's natural because I have been getting more serious. I am a lot more critical about what I consume, but I am having fun. It's kind of strange because I find analyzing and finding problematic content in things to be part of the fun of watching it and part of understanding how media works. It's fun for me, and I guess part of the reason I talk about it so much is because I see so much of it being ignored, and I feel like as much as I want to fangirl about stuff, and I definitely do, I also want to make sure that it's always balanced out with me at least telling you that this is what's going on and that if you weren't aware of it, maybe you should be. But at the same time, I do acknowledge that sometimes it's good to just relax and have a little bit of fun ranting and bitching. So that's what this video is going to be about, ranting and bitching. I'm going to be talking about 10 characters that I hate to dislike. Some of the latter ones will be dislike, some ones we go higher up on the list will be hate. And I will admit, just for a disclaimer, some of these characters will be irrational hate. I mean, we all have those characters who we've been told are amazing and are great and whatever, but when it comes down to it, we just despise them because they're annoying and they're pains in the ass, and you just don't enjoy them. And some of these are characters from literature, some of them from mythology, a few from anime, and 1 or 2 from Game of Thrones. I just try to mix it up. So I did my top 12 characters that I hate the most, simply because I thought it'd be a fun little video to do, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and you can talk about the characters you hate, talk about the ones I hate. Just a fun free-for-all as a gift for you for putting up with my analysis. Whether you like it or not, it is part of my new formula, and for those who stick with it even though it's not their favorite thing, thank you, and for those who love it, thank you. I love this, I love you guys, so this is my little treat for you. So here are the 12 characters that I hate. So the first character on my list is Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Now, when I first mentioned, and I think my second Game of Thrones review for this season, season 3, I mentioned that I'm not a fan of Jon Snow as a character, and people were asking me why do I hate Jon Snow. And I responded to this on Tumblr basically saying that my problem with Jon Snow is that he is a very straight, and I don't mean straight as in sexuality wise, but I mean straight as in like played straight trope wise, in terms of male fantasy characters. It's just not that interesting to me. When you have so many characters that are being deconstructed and, you know, subverted and are doing all different kind of things with fantasy, with what we expect, and just turning it on its head, I feel like Jon does that the least. I think that's the same problem that I have sometimes with Daenerys, is that they just don't challenge things the way that the other characters in the narrative do, and that doesn't make them horrible characters, it just makes them characters I don't like as much. At least Dany, I feel they have tried to do more with her, especially in Dance with Dragons. I feel they have tried to, you know, challenge some of the expectations we have with her character because she's so powerful. But with Jon, I just feel like he's just that pretty much generic fantasy guy that we see in so much fantasy, and he just doesn't interest me. I feel like he's just as entitled as some of the female characters are, but he doesn't get called out for it as much. I just find him kind of annoying, quite frankly, and I can accept his growth and I can acknowledge that as part of his character, but for me, he just has never been very interesting. The first book was probably the closest we ever got to it, and then book 3, everyone's kind of interesting in book 3, so that was kind of a given. But overall, he's just probably my least favorite character in Game of Thrones, not because he's horrible or as evil as some of the other characters like the Mountain or Tywin Lannister, but more because he's just not that interesting. He's not fun for me, I don't enjoy his storylines, and the show just makes him kind of a mopey little guy, so that doesn't make it any better. But yeah, not a fan of Jon Snow at all. So that was number 12, Jon Snow. Number 11 is Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. Now, I didn't grow up with Gone with the Wind. It is not part of my kind of like cultural vacuum. I know it's an American classic, but I hadn't read or watched it until last year when I read the entire book and I watched the film. And I can honestly say it was disappointing to me because for all of my life I heard about how a feminist character Scarlett O'Hara was and how fabulous she was and whatever. And I just kept thinking to myself, if you weren't played by Vivian Leigh, you would have nothing. She is literally one of the most annoying characters I've ever had this pleasure of reading. I cannot stand her, and I don't understand how anyone can call her a feminist character just to bring the politics into it. She is 100% not. I mean, yes, she's sassy and she, you know, snaps at people and she, you know, she's the definition of fierce, you know, she's very much a fierce character. But to me, that doesn't make them a good character or naturally interesting. You can have as much sass as ever you want, but at her core, Scarlett is pathetic. The way she depends on Ashley for things, the way she treats her own children, she's just not that interesting to me, even though she's compelling. She's very compelling, which is why she's low on this list. Because she doesn't, I don't feel vile towards her, but I can't root for her. I don't like her. I think she's kind of, you know, very destructive person. The only character that I like in that entire book or film is Melanie Wilkins, and everyone hates Melanie Wilkins. Like, my friend who loves Gone with the Wind, she hates Melanie. I love Melanie. I think she's the best character in the goddamn book and movie. I think she's the most interesting one, and she's actually the most feminist character in that book, especially the way she treats Belle, the way she treats Scarlett. She's so kind to Scarlett. Scarlett keeps treating her like shit because of Ashley, who doesn't want you. I mean, and he's so coded as gay in the book, too, in certain ways, but Scarlett O'Hara, she's just a disappointing character to me. She just kind of, if she didn't have Vivian Leigh to really make her into someone, because Vivian Leigh could make anything, any role fabulous, because she was brilliant, God rest her, but other than that, the substance of her character is just really irritating to watch. I hate Scarlett O'Hara. She is just one of the most annoying literary characters to me, period. Even though she's complex and everything like that, I just don't like her when it comes down to it. She's annoying. Then from number 10, we have a throwback. And I mentioned I said before that some of these characters are irrational hatreds. This is one of them. Number 10 is Kagura from Inuyasha. I hate Kagura so much. Oh, and spoilers. I mean, like, it's weird to say spoiler alert for a show that's been, like, for a manga that's been done for, like, a couple years, but just spoiler alert in case. The chapter where she died was the happiest moment of my youth. I was so happy because I had nightmares about her running off with Shishomaru. I was like, I can't do it. I can't. Please God, no. I can't. It's so stupid. And I'm kind of ashamed of my hatred for Kagura because it's so childish and petty. Because it's not even like I did like her because she was Shishomaru's love interest. I hated her because she started off as such a fun, really great character. I mean, her introductory episode where she kills basically the entire wolf clan in one swoop, brilliant. It was great. I loved her. I thought she was awesome. And then slowly and surely, she just got more boring and cliche. It just became like, I want to be free, and then I want to bang Shishomaru. I'm just like, I just couldn't stand her character. Literally, every panel she was in, she was always having some kind of awkward nip slip or, you know, having to be rescued by Rin in the water or some shit. I just couldn't stand her character. She just got worse and worse for me, and they never really did much with her. She just said the same things every time. I want to be free. I want my heart. I wanted to escape the Raku. My life sucks. We get it, girl. We get it. You the wind. Be free. Go do your thing. She was so powerful, but I felt like the show just made her less and less powerful as it went on. And that combined with her being with, like, at that time, the person I, like, had the biggest crush on I was a kid, okay, don't judge, but I love Shishomaru. You used to know my poster from back home. That was my boo. And I was just like, no. Plus, I always shipped Shishomaru and Kikyo anyway, so I was not having that ruin with my thing. But in the end, it was never like, she was in the way or anything. It was more like, I just didn't like her character, and I felt like they never really did anything really substantial with her. And now, retrospectively, just breaking away to be a little bit more mature talking about this, but her death is also unsatisfactory because it becomes something for Shishomaru to draw strength from. So I'm just kind of like, so basically, in a way, you fridged her just for the sake of what? I mean, if her story had maybe had a happier ending and we could have seen her having that life, I might have warmed up to her. But as it stands, it just seems like she's a failed character who was created and had this really great arc, or could have had a great arc, but she just became, you know, just a prop for other characters to use and not really someone within herself. Number 9 is Phoebe Halliwell from Charmed. Oh my god. There is nothing worse than going through a show that you used to love and then realizing, holy shit, this is crap. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love Charmed, but it's a different kind of love. It's like how you love your parents even though they drive you crazy. It's like how you love your siblings even though they can be idiots. That's why I love Charmed, at least the first 3 seasons. I love Prue, I love Piper, and I can tolerate the first 2 seasons of Phoebe. But once season 4 rolls around, Phoebe becomes the most aggravating, insulting character to ever write. First of all, and I don't even mean this in a slut-shaming way because I don't think this is slut-shaming. If someone does, you can of course come at me for it. But the outfits she wears to work are ridiculously fan-serving. I mean, there are times where you can see her nipples protruding through every single fucking thing she's wearing. She's over some kind of like crop thing to an office or some stupid outfit. It's just like, you're a grown woman and you dress like you're trying to be a teenager. And that was something for all the girls except for Piper. She was usually the most conservative dresser. But it just got worse and worse. She would wear the most ridiculous outfits. And then her whole story arc with Cole has got to be the most infuriating thing. Like, once Prue was gone to kind of like level with her and be even, I feel like it's kind of like the Sharon Doherty Alyssa Milano relationship probably was anyway. Her character just exploded into like so frustrating. Like, so for those of you who don't know, Phoebe Halliwell was a character from Charmed, and she was in love with this half demon, half mortal named Cole, who was probably one of the best characters on the show, to be quite honest. And to help save the sister's life, he ends up sucking in the power of the source of all evil. And just cut the long story short, he becomes evil and he wants to give it up so that he can choose to be with Phoebe. Phoebe, while partly being manipulated, makes the choice to stop Cole from giving up his powers, marries him, and becomes evil. And then Phoebe decides midway like, you know what? No. I'm gonna just kill my husband because it's his fault and not mine, and that he can never change. And what made this so infuriating was that all the sisters fucking knew that he became evil to help them, that he was being controlled by an outward source, that he tried to give up his powers, and yet from this point on, all of them, especially Phoebe, said about, you're evil, you'll never change, you were never good, you were always this. I'm just like, what is going on? Because it's not true. And Phoebe just became the most annoying little character in the world. I mean, seriously, I would have knocked her in the face almost every time I see her on screen. Just red all over. She's a vile character. And it's disappointing because she was an interesting one in the first 2 seasons. Kind of 3, it starts to kick in with her being annoying. But the first 2, she just was like, she was fun, she was engaging, she was bright, she was trying to do better for herself, and that was all great, positive things. But after the whole thing with season 4, she just took a downward tumble of just being like, just so annoying and conniving and self-absorbed. It was just really horrifying to watch. And to be fair, on a critical lens, all the characters in Charmed have huge flaws, but Phoebe Halliwell, she was the hottest of hot messes. I mean, if she wasn't played by Alyssa Milano, she probably wouldn't have gotten that much appeal, because let's face it, she was gorgeous, but that was really all she had going for her, because her character was obnoxious. Number 8 is Theon Greyjoy from Game of Thrones. Theon Greyjoy is kind of a complicated pick for me. I kind of think he should go lower, but I hate him so much that, like, it's hard. Because this is my whole thing with Theon Greyjoy. I get him, you know what I mean? I get his motivation. I get how he feels about about his situation with the Starks. I even don't, like, even though I hate the fact that he sacked Winterfell, I don't think that he owes the Starks shit, to be quite honest, because he was their prisoner. And just because he got along with Robb does not mean anything. And he didn't owe them shit, because if anything had gone wrong, they would have killed him with no hesitation. Because you know Ned Stark believes in the rules and honor, so he would have killed him like this if that came down to it. So he don't owe the Stark shit as far as I'm concerned. But however, beyond that, he was just a douchebag. He was always a douchebag. And I have just never been able to, like, really get past that. I feel sorry for him in book 5. Don't get me wrong. I'm a human. I have a heart. I feel bad for his situation in book 5. No spoilers, but I do feel for him. But it doesn't stop me from liking him. Because I feel like, you know, what he was before was so ingrained in my mind that even though I'm seeing the suffering he's going through, I I feel bad for you on a human level, but as a character, I still just can't stand you. I feel bad for you, and I pity you, and I think that your situation is horrible, but I never got over him. And I feel like for some people, that's probably how they feel about Sansa, which is quite funny, but that's how I feel about Theon. I've never really liked him as a character. His scenes frustrate me. Seeing his face frustrates me on the show. He's one of those characters I just have a very negative reaction to because of just so many things about his character just bother me. But number 7 is Morgana from Merlin. Never has an incarnation of Morgan Le Fay been wasted so poorly. I mean, Morgana starts off, and I think that's the worst thing about Merlin and the way they treated Morgana, is that she started off pretty damn good. I mean, you can argue that she had some kind of fucked up tendencies from the get-go, but at the same time, it was human. You could work with that and stuff like that. But as the series progressed, she just became more and more just, I'm going to say insane if it's wrong, I'm sorry, but she just became more and more insane. She went from someone who cared about the lives of people to being like, oh, they don't want me to be queen, we'll just starve their children, burn their lands, they don't like me. And there's like, what's wrong with you? And there's nothing to really push that forward. I mean, you could argue that she has hatred towards Uther because he discriminates against her people. That's fine, I get that. But she abuses her own people, she abuses other people who have nothing to do with that. I mean, if she hates Uther, fine, but Merlin, Arthur, Gwen had nothing to do with that. Actually, you know what? I get her hating Merlin because of what happened with the poison situation, but Arthur had nothing to do with that. Whatever didn't have anything to do with that. You want to hate Uther and Merlin? Cool beans. I get you, girl. I want to kill them too. But everyone else, the entire kingdom of Camelot, and just the way she acts as though, like, how all of a sudden she went from, like, loving Guinevere to being like, she's gonna be queen? Well, fuck that Negro. She needs to go. It was just, like, such a huge, drastic slip for her. And it just became more and more apparent that this was not the same woman who we first saw in book 1, not book 1 and 2, but in Arc 1, in the first 2 series of this show. She didn't have the same values at all, and we were never given any indication of why that changed. From 2 to 3, she went from, you know, conflicted, sometimes, you know, dark Morgana to being Smurgana, who's like, I'm gonna destroy everyone, and it's just like, where did this come from? I mean, and the thing about it too is that Morgause, she wasn't that way either. She was never like, she put the entire place to sleep so no one would get killed. Now she's encouraging her sister to destroy everyone and let everything burn. It's so inconsistent and so badly done. It's a shame because she could have been a great character, but as it goes further and further along, she just becomes one of the most disgusting, irritating characters on the show. And it's sad because she had so much potential, but it just keeps going to the point where every time she came out, it's kind of like, oh my god, Morgana. Plus, she can't even defeat anyone. Like, I know she's the villain, so she's gonna have to lose, but she couldn't even get ahead. She only gets ahead in, like, the finales, but you know we're gonna end properly because that's just the way it is. And her death in the finale, anticlimactic as shit. Couldn't even die properly. Number 6. Another Inuyasha alum, Kagome. Where do I begin with Kagome? I feel like you're seeing, like, the inner fangirl of me from when I was, like, 14, 13, whatever, but a huge reason why I have just, on one hand, one reason why I have a lot of hatred towards Kagome is because I felt like the anime adaptation of her was just really crap at times. They made her character very shrill and annoying at times that I just never really connected with her as a character. I kind of disliked her. I just thought she was just kind of, I just never connected with her as a character. And as it grew, as the show progressed, I wanted to like her. That's the whole thing with Kagome. It's like, I hate her so much, but I can't put my finger on it. Just sometimes, like, the way she would act to certain things would just annoy me, and I'd be like, why are you doing this, Kagome? Why can't you be more, like, sensible? Why are you so crazy? And then the other reason why I disliked her, which is more petty, but because of kind of, like, what I would get from, like, other people who loved the show, was that I fucked with Kikyo. Kikyo was my home girl. right now still Kikyo, that was my chick. So everyone was like, fuck Kikyo, she did, she said, I'm like, can you send your girl back to 21st century or whatever she came from, because she in my space right now. And it's like, it became this kind of like thing where it was like, you were either a Kagome fan or a Kikyo fan, and I was very much a Kikyo fan, and so that's always going to be part of why I don't like Kagome, because it's so adamant, at least it was when I was into that show, where it's like, my sister, we would have arguments about that, because I'd be like, Kikyo's a great kid, like, no, she just needs to die, she's pointless, and she's usually like, you're wrong, you don't understand, and like, that has still retained with me, not the shrillness of it, but just kind of like, I love Kikyo, and Kagome has always kind of been that character. I was like, well, Kagome exists, so Kikyo could just fuck off, and I just always resented her for that. Like I said, this is also irrational hatred on this list. So she's probably one of the most irrational picks on here, and I feel bad because it's like, I should like her more because she does grow, but the anime one never did that growth properly. She would take like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. She was always doing something really silly in the anime. The anime just didn't really do a good job with her. I feel that's the way for a lot of characters. They didn't do a really good job with transitioning them over. I think Kagome in the manga I like a lot more than Kagome in the anime, to be quite fair. So this is mostly anime Kagome, but I just never really cared for her. I never connected with her as a character, but I wanted to. That's the sad bit. Like, there was a time where I did kind of like her, but as I got older and I got more involved with the fandom ruins everything. So I just never liked her anymore, and it's sad, but she's a character that I definitely irrationally dislike. Number 5, Ginny Weasley. Now, a while back, a couple years ago, geez, I did a video about the characters of Harry Potter that I hate, and I mentioned a whole bunch of characters. And through reanalyzing the books, and I did my master's student class where I helped teach Harry Potter, I have come to appreciate some of them, and to a degree Lily Potter, even though she'll never be my favorite. And I've actually hated characters that I used to kind of like. I used to like Ron a lot. Now I kind of think he's annoying and can't stand him. But I think the character that I really have also disliked from Harry Potter, in a different way than I hate, like, I don't hate Ginny the way I hate, like, Umbridge. But it's a different kind of hate. It's more of a, it's Ginny, than, Ginny. You know, just when she appears, I get frustrated. Because I think for me, it became clear really, when I was analyzing the books again, that the reason why I never liked Ginny is because her character literally appears out of nowhere to be Harry's perfect girl. She's perfectly constructed to be the person that Harry's attracted to. I know people joke about the fact that she looks like his mom, and that's part of it from just an Oedipal standpoint, but also there's a lot of dialogue where, you know, Harry says about how, like, he admires and likes Ginny because she doesn't cry because she's been raised around boys, so she's tough like that, you know. She's not like other girls, which is hint to Cho Chang, who cried a lot when she and Harry were together. So Ginny is constructed basically in the story to be the perfect love interest for Harry, and that just makes her kind of bland. I mean, she can do all these awesome and amazing things, but it just never comes off as a natural growth, more as, oh my god, Ginny, she's so cool. Harry, you see Ginny's like, yeah, Ginny, you're so cute. That's kind of how it felt to me as it kind of went on as the series progressed. I will read so many essays. Like, I have people who on my Tumblr who love Ginny Weasley, and I'll see stuff about her and I'll read it and I'll be like, those are good points. But the feeling that I have of her has never been shaken. Like, I can read and see, like, well, I think this is this and I think this is that, and I respect that. If you love Ginny Weasley and that's your home girl, more power to you. You know, I have my home characters too, so that's just the way it is. But for me, Ginny Weasley has always been, at least as she was from book 5 and on, constructed to just be Harry's love interest, and that just makes her a boring character because she's just so perfect and so amazing that she becomes the epitome of a Mary Sue. I know that term is kind of hard to say because I don't mean like she can't be powerful, but it never seemed like a natural thing for her. It seemed more like she's cool so that Harry will like her and we can have our love triangles, our love interests wrapped up, and we can get on with the show. It's like my second least favorite. It's my second least favorite couple in Harry Potter. First, of course, is Ron and Hermione because of that shit. That don't work for me. Number 4, Joffrey Baratheon. Is there really anything that needs to be said? Like, Joffrey is on this list because he's a little shit. And I think, like, the show kind of more manages to make him, like, a fun little shit because he's played by, you know, his awesome actor who can really bring that out of him. But just in terms of, like, the book character, Joffrey's a little shitbag. I hate him. I can't stand him. He's a devious little asswipe, and, I hate Joffrey. And he's on this list because he's just a character that it's so easy to hate him, and it feels so right. He's a character that I can hate without guilt because he's just horrible. And even though he's a little kid, he's a sociopath, and he's horrible, and he can just die in a million fires. So that makes me feel good. I feel good when I hate him because I feel like it's the right thing to do, you know? It's good to hate bad people. Number 3. Okay, it's gonna be a weird pick, but bear with me. Number 3 is Apollo from Greek mythology. I hate Apollo. Apollo is a little rapist shit. Now, I know there are people who still worship these deities, and if you have a different interpretation of them, I apologize, but from what I've read about with Apollo, he's a little rapist douche, and I can't stand him. Like, the fact that, like, almost every time he interacts with a woman, he's like, I'm Apollo, got a son, you want to bang me? I'll even give a prophecy. Okay, you gonna bang me now? Now? Well, I'm gonna make no one believe you. He did that twice. Like, he did it once to Cassandra, then he did it to Sybil, then he turned that one girl who turned into a tree, this other woman who he had sex with, and then when she cheated on him, he had her killed, and then while she was burning on the fire, he took their unborn child from her stomach. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Like, that's your priorities? It's like, oh, of course, if a woman cheats on you, you gotta kill her. You have a fucking wife. You're married to the fucking muse, and you wanna go kill other women? I hate Apollo. He's so arrogant and annoying. Like, when he made Artemis kill Oberon, I'm like, or Orion, Orion. I'm like, what? Really? You can fuck anybody else. I mean, I know, because it was the whole virgin thing, and if she had sex, it'd be fucked up. But still, you know he didn't want to share his sister with anybody else, because he's that kind of guy. He's the very definition of that dude that you, like, avoid, that guys hate because he thinks he's so hot shit, and girls hate because he's too hot shit. Like, he's that guy who's, like, the jock who looks, like, really fuckable, but if you look at him like, he smells like something corroding. He just, I hate Apollo. Hate him so much. Yeah. Everything that I read about him makes me hate him even more. Like, even though he did some good things, it's like, yeah, you know, still an ass. Don't like you. Everyone does good things sometimes. Doesn't mean you're a good person or a good deity. You know. Number 2 is Charming from Once Upon a Time. How can a character be so boring? I mean, Once Upon a Time's male characters are not the dynamic, to say the least. The best that we have is Rumple and Neil. Hook is a flop amongst flops. Sheriff, never got the whole thing with him. August, he's a child now. Spoiler, I guess. So really, there have not been that many male characters who have really had a upfront role. But Charming has been from the very beginning, and at first he was kind of interesting because of his roots from being a shepherd to now being a prince and that whole kind of thing going on. That was cool. But the more we know about him, the more annoying he gets. He's a character that you wish you knew less about, because when you didn't know a lot, he was mysterious. And now that you know about him, you're like, oh my god, this dude, he's just so boring and bland and uninteresting. And he just exists to be that token dude. And like, everyone is like going to him for authority, and he's like so in charge. Like, how are you in charge? You're not even a real prince. How do you know anything about running a kingdom? You run a farm. I mean, it's not even the same thing. Didn't have that many sheep that time when I saw the episode. Didn't have that many sheep. Like, Snow's the one who's actually royalty. Shouldn't she be in charge? But no, people go to you for things. It's like, that doesn't even make any sense. It's completely ridiculous. His character is just, like, wasted. Because, honestly, if he died, I'd be happy. Like, his death would be the greatest thing that show could ever do to me besides killing off Henry. But Henry can't die because he's a child. But Charming, oh my goodness, he could go. He could go so fast. he's just boring and so pretentious and full of himself. Like when he was giving that advice to Rumpelstiltskin about how to get back together with Belle, and Rumpel's like, we have nothing in common. He's like, so what? Did you get your dating advice from Prince Derek from the Swan Princess? Are you kidding me? He's so... I can't stand him. He's only good as part of Snowing, and Snowing is only good because they're adorable, even though they're annoying and generic as shit. But they're adorable, so that's okay. But when he's not part of the Snow and Charming ship, screw him, fuck him. He can go. He can die. He really can. I would cry down a tear. There's nothing they could do to really make him interesting, unless they are make him evil and actually kill people. That's it. Even his alter ego douchebag brother was boring. Like, that boring and lame runs in your genetic code. You're so boring. Stop. Go. Hate him. And then, my number one character that I hate the most, to go back to Greek mythology, is... Can you guess? Can you guess? Can you guess who number one is from Greek mythology? It's not Hera. I love Hera. Ha ha ha. You'd be wrong if you thought that. Zeus. I have always disliked Zeus. You can see where Apollo gets it from when you look at Zeus. I think that what has always kind of bothered me about Zeus is just how the myth is constructed about him. Like, he gets to have sex with all these women, rape all these women, do all these terrible, terrible things, but everyone thinks he's the hot shit. And don't get me wrong, Zeus could do some good stuff in his way, but he just would love to cause shit and would, like, treat his wife terribly and just be a horrible person. He wouldn't even, like, sometimes he would protect his children, sometimes he'd be like, you know what, yeah, deal with this kind of stress. Like, you know, when the woman you're with can't give birth to your twins because your wife has cursed her to not give birth on land where the sun hits or some kind of random curse thingy, shouldn't you intervene? But no. As soon as Hera comes out with her jealousy, he's like, honey, I don't know. And you know what was the point for me where I realized I hated him? Story of Echo. That was the shit that made me mad. I'm like, she helped you out while you trying to get your swerve on, and when she gets fucked over, you can't even help her? That's how you repay people? Nope. Fuck you, dude. That was the turning point. Ever since then, I've hated him. I just kind of felt like, you don't care at all. Or, like, when Demeter was upset about Persephone being taken by Hades, he's kind of like, well, I'm sorry you're upset. Oh, you're killing the earth, now I'll intervene. I mean, that's your own kid. That's your kid. And that's your brother. I mean, I know you married your sister, but come on, you don't even care about your own children? He just doesn't have sense to care about anyone, unless he's in the mood to care. He is just everything horrible about, like, anything. He's a horrible, horrible person. Now, of course, yes, he has his moments where he's badass and cool, duh. I know those moments, I read Greek mythology, but just as a character that I hate Zeus. I hate him so much. I hate him the most of any character ever, because he's so idealized too. You know, any adaptation, like, what I've always hated about Disney's Hercules is how they make him, like, into this god being, like, this benevolent dude. Like, he's not benevolent. He's not great. The one thing that Hercules, the legendary giant, did well was making Zeus an asshole. Then they are making him the great evil, because that's what he is. He's just, horrible, horrible person. I hate him the most. He's, so much rage. But yeah, those are the 12 characters that I really, really dislike and to some degree hate. Some for rational reasons, some for very irrational reasons. And I hope this was fun for you. I had fun talking about it. I know it's disjointed, but it's supposed to be more freeform, so I hope you like this. I'll try to do more of these fun videos, kind of like mix it up. Have a little serious stuff, but have a little bit of fun on the side. Why not? I think it's good. It's healthy for me. And now that I'm finally done with all my schoolwork, I can do more videos and finally finish my Magical Girl stuff. I know, I suck. I suck so bad at that. But it will get done. Now that I'm finally free and I don't have any more schoolwork to consume my existence, it'll be done. Cheers!